Welcome back to SportsLine, everybody. Hard to believe it, but the Tennessee Titans are just about a month away from the start of training camp. That's right. Football season will be here before you know it. Guy we haven't talked to in a while is the beat reporter for the Tennessee Titans for the Tennessean, our buddy Jason Wolf. Wolfman, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good, man. I know that there really is no off season for beat writers in the National Football League. I'm hoping you've had some time to enjoy the early part of the summer.
This is, the most you get in terms of an off season. This little, 5-week break or so, 5-6-week break between the end of off season workouts and start of training camp. And so, I've got a little bit of vacation time coming up here in a week or so. But until then, full speed ahead.
No question about it. All right, let's start with Ryan Cowden. You reported, as did several others, that he was to meet with the Chiefs, for the Kansas City Chiefs, for their vacant general manager's job. Any idea on how that went or where the Chiefs plan to go from here?
I haven't heard anything about how the interview went. It was supposed to go down today. It's kind of odd, the timing of the Chiefs getting rid of their general manager, a year remaining on his contract, especially because they've been so successful on the field the last, 4 years that he's been there, along with Andy Reid. Supposedly, they were both going to get an extension, or there was going to be talk of an extension, this summer, and Andy Reid landed the extension, and, the general manager, they showed him the door. And so, it's a little bit unusual timing right now. Teams have already kind of set their front offices. Ryan Cowden, you remember, has only really been here in Tennessee for about a year.
Right.
Jon Robinson brought him in after he spent, I think it was 16 years with the Carolina Panthers. He brought him in to be his right-hand man. They go back when they were both, area scouts in the NFL. They both climbed the rung together. And he brought him in to be his right-hand man. This is after Jon Robinson's first draft, mind you. Robinson traded the 1 pick, traded back up, ended up with an all-pro right tackle in Jack Conklin. Ryan Cowden came after all that was done. So we really don't know what type of an impact he has had on the Titans front office. We know what they did in the most recent draft, but we're not really sure what he did behind the scenes. Obviously, he was the guy in charge of the rest of the department, just right under Jon Robinson. But I don't know that he's really had much of an opportunity to prove himself since he's here. And so, it's sort of curious. The Chiefs are reaching out, seeing who's available, what they can find at this stage of the game, and I guess Ryan Cowden is one of the guys on their short list.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I failed to mention that Ryan Cowden is currently the Titans' Director of College and Pro Scouting. And again, he was said to be interviewed for the Kansas City Chiefs vacant general manager's position. All right, the offseason portion for the Titans is over. Next stop is training camp. We're a few weeks away from that. But Mike Mularkey was pretty effusive in his praise about his team after, the mini camp and the OTAs and the offseason training program, basically saying his team is way ahead of where they are. The rookies are blending in with the veterans quite well, and he seems quite pleased with where his team is at right now heading into training camp. And you and I both know Mike Mularkey to be a pretty honest guy. He doesn't say stuff just to say it. Where do you think this optimism and this enthusiasm comes from?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that virtually the entire coaching staff returned from last season. Now, last season was the first that Mike Mularkey had as the full-time head coach. He handpicked a number of the guys on the coaching staff. It was the first season that he worked together with Jon Robinson, the general manager. And now I think there's a sense that after going 9-7 a year ago, that they can begin to build on what they established. The only new assistant coach that should make a real difference this season is, of course, the wide receivers coach, Frisman Jackson.
Right.
And this is a guy who played for offensive coordinator Terry Robisky when Robisky was coaching the Browns. Frisman Jackson was a wide receiver, played under Robisky in Cleveland. So even with the brand new guy in this is somebody who the coaching staff is very familiar with. And so you have that sense of familiarity across the coaching staff, within the front office itself. Many of the players have returned. The offense, they completely revamped the wide receiving position, but beyond that, the offensive line is the same 5 guys as it was a year ago. Marcus Mariota is expected to make a complete recovery from the broken leg that ended his season last year in the second to last game. And so there's a lot to look forward to. The entire front 7 returns with one exception, that being the nose tackle, Sylvester Williams. This is a guy they brought in from the Broncos. He's got Super Bowl experience. He's one of 4 free agents, I believe, the Titans brought in this offseason who have at least one Super Bowl on their resume. And so, you're right. Mike Mularkey isn't the kind of guy who's going to go overboard. I don't think. He's pretty honest. And, I mean, it seems to me that there's a lot for him to be excited about at this stage of the game. He knows his staff. He knows the majority of his players, what they're capable of doing. The franchise quarterbacks expect to be healthy. Things are trending upward for the Titans.
No question about it. Titans beat writer Jason Wolf of the Tennessean joins us here on SportsLine. Yeah, so many high expectations for this team. I look at the defense, Jason, and want to get your thoughts on this. They went out of their way to improve the secondary, bringing in guys like Logan Ryan, Jonathan Cyprien. They drafted Adoree Jackson as their co-first-round pick. How much better do you think that secondary will be this year, and how can it complement what is a pretty darn good front 7 going in?
Well, look, that's one of the great questions heading into this season, right? I mean, 3 of the new 4 starters on defense are going to be in the secondary. That's both starting cornerbacks, assuming Adoree Jackson ends up claiming a starting role, and there's no reason to think that he won't. 18th overall pick in the draft, darn well better.
Right.
Logan Ryan comes in after winning 2 Super Bowls in 4 seasons with the Patriots. He's ostensibly the #1 guy. They went and they got Jonathan Cyprien, the strong safety from the Jaguars. Now Kevin Byard returns. The former MTSU star returns for his second pro season. It's really remarkable to think that he's the old man in the secondary. Right? In terms of seniority on this roster, but that's what they're dealing with. The secondary their pass defense was among the worst in the league last season. So it can't get much worse than it was a year ago. And that was with a pretty strong front 7. A lot of times that the pressure the front 7 is able to get on an opposing quarterback can go a long way toward masking deficiencies in the secondary.
Sure.
We've seen that happen at times over the last couple of seasons. But, last year they really just couldn't put it together. I'd give Dick LeBeau a good amount of credit for, what he's been able to accomplish, with the personnel he's had. And so, just like on the offensive side of the ball where they really revamped, the perimeter of the field with the wide receivers, they did the same thing on defense. I mean, we're going to have to see what they're able to do, but I can't imagine that they're all that much worse than they were last season. I mean, they really can't be, right?
No question about it. We're finishing up with Jason Wolf here as we talk Titans here on SportsLine. Jason, give me your thoughts on Corey Davis. If he's healthy and ready to go and picks up the offense, what kind of weapon can this guy be in the Titans offense?
Oh, he's the #5 pick in the draft.
Right. And
they're expecting him to be, I mean, they won't come out and say that, but you don't pick a guy #5 overall. You don't pick a wide receiver #5 overall unless you think this guy is capable of becoming a superstar in this league. And he's got all of the attributes. I mean, he is big, and he is fast, and he is physical. And Mariota really has not had a receiver that comes close to what Corey Davis looks to be able to bring to the table. He's smart from all indications. He hasn't had much trouble picking up the playbook to this point, I understand. Now, of course, everybody looks good in shorts, off-season workouts. We're really going to have to see what happens in training camp, and it's going to take some time for the quarterback to get on the same page with all of his new targets.
Right.
not only Corey Davis, but Taywan Taylor. They just went out and they signed Eric Decker. I mean,
yeah, I want to get your thoughts on Eric Decker, Jason. What he seems like a good fit for both player and team. A veteran guy who's a big target in the red zone, and we know that Mariota's been money in the red zone. He's, knock on wood, yet to throw an interception in the red zone in his career. How can a guy like Eric Decker help?
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there, man. In the red zone, I think the statistic was, over the last 3 years, Eric Decker is second in the NFL in the red zone touchdowns, behind only Brandon Marshall. He's done, I think it's close to 70% of his damage from the slot over the course of his career. And so, in a wildly revamped secondary where 3 of the top 4 receivers on the depth chart are brand new to this team, 2 of which, haven't caught a pass in the NFL. They're rookies. Eric Decker is that veteran presence that I think you need, and that's not a slight on Rashard Matthews in any way, but Decker's going to give Mariota another big-bodied receiver in the red zone, and a veteran, a guy with experience who's accomplished in the NFL. A guy has 3,000-yard seasons to his credit, and he's going to give him that weapon out of the slot. And so that's going to make the Titans that much more dangerous, because you figured before they signed him, Taywan Taylor, their third-round draft pick out of Western Kentucky, was going to be their primary slot receiver. After the Kendall Wright experiment in the slot didn't work out all that well last year.
Right.
Now you've got Corey Davis and Rashard Matthews on the outside, and Eric Decker in the slot as your top 3 wide receivers. And I'm projecting that here. That's not official.
Sure.
Then you add the powerful running game to that with DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. Mariota heading into his 3rd full season. The entire offensive line returning. I mean, that's a stacked offense. And Decker is one of the true veterans there. I mean, you put Decker in the same, kind of tier as a DeMarco Murray when you're looking at the Titans offense. This is a guy who's proven in this league. And you can't just go with all youngsters, right? So I think it was a brilliant signing. It's only a 1-year deal. The Titans had plenty of cap space. His wife is from Nashville. They have a home, or his wife lives in Nashville. They have a home here. She's a country music singer. And so, that's a perfect marriage between Decker and the Titans. And there's no long-term commitment. So I see all good things there.
Final question for you, Jason. I know that during the Predators Stanley Cup run, you were helping out your colleagues at the Tennessean, Joe Rexroad and Adam Vingan. Just want to get your thoughts on what the Predators were able to do in terms of capturing the imagination of this city. And it seemed like the Titans players were really inspired by what the Predators did, and they want that same love come later this fall when they make their playoff run.
It was really something seeing the offensive line chugging beers at fishing. Right?
Absolutely.
As a sea of fans wearing gold, we're packing not only the arena, but the park across the street, lining up outside Broadway. It's been a long time since the Titans first moved to town and made that Super Bowl run in the first season in Nissan Stadium. Nobody around the organization, with the exception of ownership, some people in the front office, really remembers that time. Certainly none of the players. And so for them to get a taste of what winning in Nashville can look like, and there's been a malaise over the franchise over the last several seasons. Before last year, they had 5 wins in 2 years. The Predators, a hockey team in the South, they had to kind of deal with that, get over the hump there, and not only that, they had been competitive for a long time, but never really made a playoff run.
Right.
And I think this really kind of showed Nashville, what a winner is in this city in 2017. It's not 1999 anymore. The city has changed dramatically. Sure. At that point in time. And it definitely gives the Titans something to kind of emulate, something to chase after. Not that they weren't trying to win anyway. They go out there for themselves. They want to win. They want to perform well. But there was a real electricity in this city that ran into June for for pro hockey. And I can only imagine, I know the players have said the same thing to me, what this city can be like if the Titans were to make a similar run. Could you imagine if the Titans hosted the AFC Championship?
The party would be on, my friend.
If that's what it looked like for the Predators, right? Advancing to the Western Conference Finals, advancing to the Stanley Cup Finals, I can only imagine what it would be like having the AFC title game here.
Jason, enjoy your time off, my friend. I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to hanging out with you in the oppressive heat in August as we cover training camp. Always enjoy having you on, and always enjoy reading your stuff in the Tennessean.
Likewise. Thanks so much for having me, John.
All right. The great Jason Wolf joining us here as we talk a little Titans. When we come back, we're going to switch gears and talk a little pro wrestling. Impact Wrestling right here, based right out here in Nashville, getting ready for their big pay-per-view this Sunday. It's called Slammiversary, and one of the main events is a guy from Middle Tennessee, the Cowboy, James Storm. You're going to get to see and hear my entire interview with him coming up right after the break. Stay with us here on SportsLine.